Money morning. What's up, Andrew?
Good morning.
So we have 5 tips for millennials this morning. I've got learn self-control, know where your money goes, start an emergency fund, start saving for retirement, and get a grip on taxes. So number 1, learn self-control. Why is that important? Explain that.
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say that it's when you mention millennials, we're talking young adults. So
Yeah.
I know millennials fit into that category, but anyone between the age of 16 upwards of 25 is typically the age range I'm looking at here. And so the first one we had was learn self-control. It's usually a younger generational factor that they enjoy spending money on things that they don't necessarily need to be spending money on. Having the most hip and up-to-date shoes, having the most hip and up-to-date phone, clothing, accessories, whatever it might happen to be. Those are item purchases that are not necessarily necessary. They're not needs, they're wants. And when individuals go out and spend a lot of money on a pair of $400 or $500 shoes, that's $400 more than what you need to be spending on a pair of shoes, in my point of view. So that extra $300-$400 that you're paying on those running shoes, you can add into a different category, like an investment or a savings fund, the emergency fund that we have later in the show. So it's a pretty important thing that younger people understand, that they need to control or self-control their spending habits and not go and spend lavishly on items that are not needs, but they're wants.
Knowing where your money goes, number 2.
Let me get my tea in there. Hold on a second. So understanding where money goes, that's very important. We've done a lot of shows about budgeting, and that's where this ties into. If you don't know where your money is being spent, you don't know what you're doing with your budget, you're not going to know how you're going to better your situation. It's very important that you look and understand where your money is being spent, regardless of your age. But on this show, we're talking about the younger generation. So if you're again, between the age of 16 and 25, you want to look at your expenditures, you want to look at your budget and your spending habits, and you want to see where you're spending your money. If you end up calculating that you're doing a lot of cash withdrawals at the bank ATM, and you end up going out to bars or clubs on a frequent basis, then that's a pretty telling sign that you've got a spending habit where you want to go and spend a lot of money out, have some fun, which, don't get me wrong, having fun is a great thing. But if you're going to be spending, let's say $500, $1,000 a month, going out, spending money at bars and clubs, that's money that you can be spending on other areas of your life. So knowing where your budget is and where you're spending that money is very important. You gotta look at the end of the month at your bank statement, your credit card statement, and see where you're spending your money. We've done shows about budgeting where we have a financial capacity assessment. If you go back into the history of the shows and the broadcasts, you can find the show on that topic and have a look at the financial capacity assessment form that breaks down your income and your expenses and determine what your budget looks like.
Okay, number 3, starting an emergency fund. What kind of money? I think this boils down to months. How many months of living expenses should most people have set aside?
Well, the more the merrier, obviously. But
what's the minimum, you think, in your estimation?
Minimum, I would say, is 3 to 6 months at the bare minimum. 3 to 6 months can give you some carryover if you're temporarily laid off, or if you're laid off and you're in between jobs. I know the government here will provide you with employment insurance, which is approximately $2,000 per month. That can assist people when they're in between jobs. If they're typically making $4,000, it's not going to cover your expenses if you're only getting $2,000 from the government. That's when you need to dip into your rainy day fund, your emergency fund. So if you have 3 to 6 months at the very minimum, that can at least carry you over for the time frame when you're looking to find new employment. So it's very important to have some kind of fund for a rainy day, so that way you're not dipping into credit and eventually paying interest on that and then getting yourself in a rut of being in credit card or line of credit debt down the road. So a rainy day fund, the emergency fund, is an extremely important practice that people need to be utilizing, and it starts from the early age. And the reason why it's quite important in the early age is because most young adults don't have that many expenses. So if you're not paying rent, if you don't have a car payment because you have a secondhand vehicle that was handed down from family, or if you bought yourself a secondhand vehicle at a cheap amount, and you've got very few expenses, if you're working and making $2,000 to $3,000 per month, you should be putting money aside into your rainy day fund. And that's the best time to do it because you don't have many expenses. As you grow older and you have more and more responsibilities, children, bills, household, mortgages, and all that type of stuff, it becomes more difficult to save for the rainy day fund. So you really should get into it at the early ages of adulthood.
All right. Your fourth point is start saving for retirement. At what age should you start saving, and what percentage of income should go into savings?
Again, early as possible. Everything is as early as possible. The earlier you start your savings, the earlier you start your budgeting and knowing where your money is being spent, the better your financial wealth will be as time progresses. So the earlier, the better. In terms of what amount you should be putting aside, the general rule of thumb is 10%. So if you're making $2,000 per month as your income, you should be putting away $200 a month into a savings fund of some sort, investments, savings account, RRSP, whatever it is that you want to put it into. It's, regardless of what it is, it's a savings account of some sort. So you want to put that money aside, 10%, $200 on $2,000 as the example. If you're making $5,000 per month, you want to put $500 per month into the savings fund. Mm-hmm. Ideally, like I said, you want to do it early because with fewer responsibilities, with fewer expenses that you have on the earlier side of your lifetime, you have the ability to put a larger chunk of money away. And that's generally what I see is younger generations go out and finance, $500-$600 monthly car payments because they don't have any other expenses. And they feel like, well, I got the money, I might as well use it on something. Well, why are you financing a $40,000 car at $600 a month when you can be putting a vast majority of that money into some kind of investment or savings fund? And over years, that's going to build significant wealth for that individual. So it's very important.
There's a lot of tax benefits to putting money in your retirement, in your registered retirement savings plan, because it lowers your taxable income and you get a bigger refund. So yeah. It's more than just saving for retirement. So the fifth and final one you've got here is getting a grip on taxes. What do you mean by that?
So yeah, that ties in with essentially all of the prior key points that we're talking about. I wanted actually you to talk off to this one because you have a lot of experience and a lot more knowledge in this area. So I was going to have you talk off on the getting a grips on the tax so that you can save money and get on top of that scenario. So do you want to talk off on that?
Well, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you're taking advantage of every opportunity to reduce your taxable income burdens, right? Because in Canada, we have a sliding scale. So the lower your income, the lower your tax rate, the higher your income at the top tax bracket in Ontario. Anyway, it's 53%. So tax-free savings accounts contribute to that, the maximum amount annually. RRSPs, whatever your maximum amount is, that should be indicated on your notice of assessment from your last year's filing. There's not much else out there that you could, really your principal residence is tax-free on capital gains. So until they take that away, I would still encourage you to work towards home ownership. And if you've got kids, small children, you should be contributing to the registered education fund. I think it's called an RESP. Because you can contribute something like $2,500 a year, and the government matches $2,500 on top of that. So you put it in some kind of index fund or some kind of mutual fund that's going to grow over 17, 18 years of your child's youth before they go to school. It's basically free money plus the appreciated value. Aside from that, we don't have very many other options in Canada. You can income split. You can make... and all that income splitting means is if you have a stay-at-home spouse and you run your own business, you can lower your income and pay her, or you can make contributions to your spouse's RRSP, which also lowers your taxable income. But you want to talk to your tax accountant when you're filing your taxes about all these options to make sure that you're maximizing your opportunity to lower your taxable income rate, your nominal tax rate, so that you're paying as little taxes as possible while saving money and setting aside money into programs that either get topped up or save you taxes by the government.
Yeah. Also write-offs. Any individual that operates a business can write off percentages of expenses for that business. You know, a lot of people can start up simple businesses that don't take a lot of effort, operate it from home, have a home office space. If you're operating a 10-foot by 10-foot office in your house, that's 100 square feet. You can write off that portion of your rent or that portion of your mortgage. You can write off a portion of your utility costs. You can write off your expenses for internet usage. You can write off cell phone usage, kilometers on your vehicle, insurance. All these things can be write-offs that you can use as a business expense, and that will save your taxes because you're lowering your taxable income as they become business expenses. So these are all important factors that Richard and I have just mentioned on the taxable savings portion. Obviously, this is for a little bit later in life, but it's a good idea to get started on it early if you're able to start saving on the taxes and investing into these taxable gains and avoid having to pay higher taxes.
Awesome. So let's sign off. Let people know where they can find you and what problem you solve.
All right. So at the bottom of your screen, there is a ticker. If you read that, if you visit our website, www.totaldebtfreedom.ca, we help those in Canada or expats. So that is Canadians living outside of Canada that have Canadian credit card, bank unsecured debts. Those are bank credit cards, lines of credit, loans, payday, overdrafts, those types of products. We can help you. If you owe over $10,000, you can go to our website, fill out the form, and schedule a consultation with one of our debt consultants. We can give you a call at your prescribed time, and we can see what we can do for you. If we are not the best fit, we can refer you to a program that would be more suitable to your situation and needs. So again, that's if you have over $10,000 of credit card debt, www.totaldebtfreedom.ca.
All right. We'll see you guys next Saturday morning. Enjoy your weekend.